Welcome back everyone to Formula One Transfer Talk. In today's episode, we'll be breaking down all of our 20 Formula One 2021 driver contracts. How long is left? Where could their destinations be? And which teams could be looking for a new driver pairing in 2021? As always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe. But without further ado, let's kick things off with our reigning world champions, Mercedes. It's 7 world titles in a row for the German manufacturer, and this season their superstar driver returned for one more season. This means 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton's contract runs out at the end of 2021, and technically any team will be able to sign him next year if they so choose. I think that's unlikely, and I think the potential destinations for Lewis is either a contract extension, and with this year's ridiculously spicy championship battle hopefully going down to the wire, fingers crossed Lewis decides to stay in Formula One for a few more years. But apart from remaining with Mercedes, I don't see him going elsewhere except retirement. The other question mark for Mercedes is their other driver, Valtteri Bottas. The multiple race winner has had a difficult start to 2021, recording a 12th place finish last time out in Baku. Valtteri is in the exact same position as teammate Lewis Hamilton, signing a 1-year extension at the end of 2020, meaning his current deal also ends in 2021. Will Mercedes decide to renew both of their drivers' contracts, or will Valtteri have to find a home elsewhere? Mercedes, of course, could sign him for an extra season, but I could also see him making the switch to Williams for 2022, Alpine if they decide to move on either Fernando Alonso or Esteban Ocon, or potentially, it's a stretch, Red Bull Racing if they don't decide Perez is their man. But I think after Baku, we're all pretty confident Verstappen and Perez will be there for a few years yet. And on the subject of Red Bull, let's talk about their 2 drivers, because their World Championship challenger for 2021, Max Verstappen, has a super deal. The Dutchman's current contract ends in 2023, and apart from Red Bull, the only other team he could potentially go to, I would suggest, is Mercedes, but after this season, I think it's very unlikely indeed. Sergio Perez, Red Bull's new driver for 2021, our most recent winner in 2021. He only signed a 1-year deal with Red Bull. His deal ends in 2021. However, if performances continue just like we saw in Baku, I don't see him going anywhere. A 1-year, possibly a 2-year extension, I think, could be on the cards. But if not, Sergio's wealth of experience, his incredible ability to look after tyres, he's a team leader, a 2-time race winner, and if Red Bull don't decide to keep him, I would also think teams like Williams, like Alpine, and even Haas, a team that he was linked to a few seasons ago, would all be very interested in the Mexican services. For McLaren, their superstar driver Lando Norris has just signed a brand new deal, meaning the British driver will remain with the team until 2023 unless he decides to go elsewhere. I don't see this happening, and so Lando is very much a McLaren driver for the time being. On the other side of the garage is Daniel Ricciardo, who signed a 2-year deal starting in 2021 and ending in 2022. Of course, Daniel, like all other drivers on this year's grid, will have buyout clauses and options to move on, but like teammate Norris, I don't see him going anywhere for next season. Aston Martin, an awesome weekend for the British team, 2nd place for Sebastian Vettel, and just like Daniel Ricciardo, not only has Sebastian joined a brand new team for 2021, but his current deal also is only 2 years, meaning the 4-time world champion, his contract runs out at the end of 2022, and looking forward to next season, the only 2 places I see Sebastian Vettel is once again remaining with Aston Martin, finishing out his current contract, or potentially retiring, but I think the first option is far more likely. Aston Martin's 2nd driver this year and remaining with the team for a 3rd straight season is Lance Stroll. Lots of question marks with Lance Stroll's contract, as his father Lawrence Stroll is the owner of both the Formula One team and the Aston Martin brand. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon, but is the one driver out of all of our 20 drivers we have no idea what contract he is currently on. But put it this way, I think Lance is going to be in Formula One for a few more seasons to come. Alpine, the newly rebranded former Renault team, have made a bit of a switch in 2021, bringing back two-time world champion Fernando Alonso to Formula One. Just like Danny Rick, just like Sebastian Vettel, Alonso signed a 2-year deal with the Alpine outfit, meaning next season he will be with the team unless he decides to retire, as I don't see Fernando going elsewhere until his contract runs out at the end of next season. Alongside him though is Esteban Ocon. The Frenchman has had an awesome start to proceedings this year. 4 points finishes in 6 races is not a bad job at all. His current deal ends this season, and with plenty of the drivers on the market at the end of this current year, could Ocon be moved on if he does not live up to expectations throughout the rest of this season? For next year, for Esteban, I can see him remaining with Alpine if he continues to put in these great performances we have seen so far this year. But don't forget, Ocon is still a driver under the management of team principal of Mercedes, Toto Wolff. Ocon is a former member of the Mercedes Junior program, and so don't be too surprised if he joins a Mercedes partner such as Aston Martin or Williams, and maybe, just maybe, could join the Mercedes team. It's unlikely, but never say never in Formula One. Ferrari have their golden boy Charles Leclerc locked down in his seat with the Tifosi. Leclerc has one of the longest contracts in Formula One history. A 5-year deal signed at the end of 2019 takes Leclerc up to the end of the 2024 season. Alongside him though is a very different story. Carlos Sainz Jr. joined the prancing horse this year in 2021, and just like Vettel, just like Ricciardo, and just like Ocon, his 2-year contract ends in 2022. And as such, if Carlos continues his performances in the same manner as our first 6 races in 2021, he'll be going nowhere next season. AlphaTauri, a podium at Baku, 3rd place for Pierre Gasly, and it's Pierre that is one of the spiciest drivers in our 2021-22 driver market. Gasly, with his race victory last time out and 2 extra podiums coming at Brazil 2019 and Baku last weekend, his deal ends this season and is certainly one of the hottest prospects without a team for next season. He definitely could stay at AlphaTauri. He has been their team leader for 2 seasons straight and is certainly punching above his weight in this small team. However, if Gasly wants to move on to a bigger team with higher aspirations than the Red Bull Junior team, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him at Alpine, potentially replacing Esteban Ocon, or if Gasly was feeling a little bit brave and wanting to rebuild a team, a formerly great team, back to the front of the field, he could take a chance on Williams if he doesn't decide to stay with AlphaTauri with our new regulations in 2022. Oh, and yeah, he could go back to Red Bull, but if it's okay with you, I don't really fancy opening that can of worms on today's episode. Alongside Gasly is rookie Yuki Tsunoda, the Formula 2 rookie champion and 3rd place overall in 2020, signed a 1-year deal at AlphaTauri for 2021. That also means his contract ends in 2021, and knowing just how ruthless the Red Bull Junior program can be, there is no guarantees he will stay with AlphaTauri next season, but I think it's very likely that he will. He could be moved on, he could move to a different series, or, just like all Red Bull drivers, especially in recent history, he could be promoted to Red Bull Racing if Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez decide to move on. A team ready for change in 2022 is Alfa Romeo in more ways than one, with their current name deal as Alfa Romeo set to expire at the end of this season, returning to Sauber if that deal is not salvaged for next year. Another potential component that could change for next season is veteran 2007 Formula 1 World Champion Kimi Raikkonen, whose current contract ends at the end of 2021, and though there is definitely an option for him to remain at Alfa Romeo, I think it's more likely this season could be our final year of Kimi in Formula 1. Alongside Raikkonen is Antonio Giovinazzi, the Ferrari Junior, whose contract also ends in 2021, is going to have to pull off some, quite frankly, mega performances to keep this seat. As many of you will know, I am hopeful Giovinazzi can continue his great start to 2021 and stay at Sauber or Alfa Romeo next year, but with fellow Ferrari juniors Robert Schwartzman, Callum Ilott and so many more ready to make the move up to Formula 1 next year, I think it's very unlikely Antonio will stay at Sauber in 2022. 2021 saw a complete change of driver lineup for Haas. The American team that are not so American these days decided to give two rookies a go, starting off with Formula 2 champion Mick Schumacher, who signed a 2-year deal taking him up to 2022, and I think there is multiple options for Mick next season. Though Haas have him under contract, don't be too surprised, as he is part of that Ferrari Junior Academy if he's moved to Alfa Romeo for the 2022 season to further his development against a more experienced driver than Nikita Mazepin, whose contract also ends in 2022. And our final team on this year's grid is Williams, a team I believe could be a bit of a dark horse heading into 2022, and for many drivers on the grid could be the exact project they are looking for their next step in their Formula 1 career. But this year, their two drivers, starting off with Nicholas Latifi, whose father is a part owner and huge investor in the team. His current deal ends at the end of this year, just a 2-year deal signed last season for Latifi, meaning there's no guarantees. Despite all of his sponsorship he brings to Williams, there's no guarantees he will stay with the team. And when you consider the brand new investors Dorilton Capital that came to Williams in the summer of 2020, I'm not yet 100% convinced Latifi will be at Williams. However, I don't see him going elsewhere, Williams or bust for Latifi next season. And alongside him, one of the, if not the, hottest prospects on the driver market, the driver to keep your eyes on over the course of the summer transfer market, of course, is George Russell. The Mercedes Junior driver is in his final year of a 3-season contract at Williams, and as we all know, that spot at Mercedes is available if he can put in those performances this year and prove he is the right man for the future of the Silver Arrows. Of course, Mercedes may decide to stick with Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, and if indeed that is the case, I think George should stay at Williams for one more season and keep his fingers crossed that this dark horse narrative, this route back to the front, comes to fruition for Williams in 2022 and George Russell can finally show us his abilities in the midfield or even at the front. Either way, Russell deserves to be in a top team. We're just going to have to wait and see. So then, this is how your field is playing out for next year, with only 4 drivers under contract for 2023 and beyond. Ricciardo, Vettel, Alonso, Sainz and the 2 Haas boys, all of their deals run out at the end of next season, meaning Hamilton, Bottas, Perez, Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Latifi and Russell will all have to sort out new contracts for next year, leaving our 2022 grid with 2 possible seats at reigning world champions Mercedes, 1 at Red Bull Racing, 1 at Alpine, 2 at AlphaTauri, 2 at Alfa Romeo and 2 at Williams if everything stays as it is at this moment in time. Of course, contracts can change, contracts can move, but as things stand right now, here is your playing field as we start our brand new season of Transfer Talk on Racing Reviews. So, as always, to keep up to date with all Formula 1 2021 news and reviews, you know what to do. The subscribe button is down below. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, and to let me know what you want to see next time on Transfer Talk, throw it down in the comments down below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.